Hello, guys. Thank you very much for letting me talk to you guys. I'm doing amazing. I'm working hard as usual. I coach basketball a lot. Just finished my AAU practice with my two sixth grade teams, and yeah, man, just coaching all summer. Well, my name is Brandon Williams. I was born in Seattle, Washington, really Bellevue, Washington, and then moved to Palo Alto, and pretty much been here the last 25 years. Played at Palo Alto High School, and then started coaching at Palo Alto High School. And then after about 8 years there, I went to Kenyatta College to be an assistant coach. And then after that, I am now the Gunn High School varsity basketball coach for the boys team. And we actually just won league this year. We went 20-4. And yeah, just really happy. And we actually won league, and we started off, before I got the job, the team was 4-20, and now the team, and then my first year we went 12-12, and then this year again we went 20-4 to win league, and so the program is moving up, and the kids are really working hard. Other than coaching, I do player development, skill work, and when Jeremy was about, 15 to about 14 years old, that's when I started working him out. And luckily, obviously he made the NBA. And, from that success, people started to get to know me. And another guy his name is Josh Eustace, he played for Stanford University last year. He was a power forward. He was Oklahoma City Thunder's first-round pick last year. And, I trained him. And also Aubrey Dawkins, who is Coach Johnny Dawkins' son for Stanford University. I trained him, who is a fabulous freshman for Michigan or University of Michigan. And also I train a guy, E.J. Floriel, who plays for University of Kentucky. I also have, 3 AAU teams, a high school team and 2 sixth grade teams. It's called kopa, and kopa actually stands for King of Palo Alto. And and also I have a summer camp this summer, July 13th to the 17th at Gunn High School, Monday through Friday, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Lunch is provided for $395. And I also offer a clinic on Sundays. And the clinic on Sundays is at Gunn High School and is usually Sundays at 4:30, but I have to coach a game this weekend, so we might have to change the time of the clinic this Sunday to a later time, like 6 o'clock. Other than that, what got me into basketball or coaching basketball, unfortunately, when I was younger in high school and my my senior year, I really hurt my back bad, which made me not be able to play basketball to the level that I wanted to. And so that's when I kind of started coaching, and I fell in love with coaching, and I found out that I had a talent in motivating people and inspiring people to be the best that they can be. And my philosophy is, someone said this, train hard, win easy. And I think, any successful person understands that, you can have all the talents in the world, but you have to have skill. And talent might be natural, but skill is work and is practice. And as long as you practice, you're going to be good at anything in life. And the last thing I'll say about myself is, I've really learned the power of positivity. It's changed my life. And I really believe that, like attracts like. And if I'm angry on the inside, then I'm going to attract people angry on the outside. But if I'm happy on the inside, then I'm going to attract happier people on the outside. And I feel like, we're all vibrations. And if I think positive thoughts, then I'm going to get positive thoughts. I believe I get what I give in this universe. So, or I get what I give. So if I give love, I'm going to get love. But if I give anger, I'm going to get anger. So I'm never mad at the kids. I never yell at the kids. I keep it positive. And if I do yell, it's more of excitement, like, oh, baby, great shot. Or like, that's what I'm talking about. Keep working hard. More of that type of yelling than angry, negative yelling. I will never do that. Oh yeah, and I guess my website is kopahoops.com. That is KOPA hoops HOOPS.com. Kopahoops.com. And I guess last thing I'll say, I keep remembering stuff to say is, as much as I like to have fun, I am a fundamentals coach, and I stress fundamentals. And why I stress fundamentals is when you're a baby, you have to crawl before you walk. If you learning math, you have to add and subtract before you learn how to divide. So everything's a process. And again, if you look at the good NBA players like Jeremy Lin, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, their fundamentals, their footwork is just impeccable. And so you have to learn good footwork and fundamentals before you can do that advanced stuff. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. And also in July, I am doing a camp in Taiwan with Jeremy Lin. He he unfortunately invited me to come coach with him, and I've never been to Asia, never been to Taiwan, and I'm really, really excited, man. And that camp will be July 3rd and July 4th. I'm absolutely proud, and as much as they thank me about, Brandon, my real name is actually Brandon Williams, but they call me Kopa. They're like, oh, Brandon Kopa, thank you. And I always say thank you because as hard as they work, they motivate me to be a better person and to work harder. And the cool thing, about Jeremy is, I have a lot of friends who have become successful. He's the only one who has become, extremely successful, and he has never forgot about me. Like he just, taking me to Taiwan. I still work out with him. I still work him out. It's just, it's really a blessing, and I'm extremely, extremely thankful, and extremely, extremely thankful. When I first started working with Jeremy, I felt that he was really small and skinny, and so I was like, you got to hit the weight room. You got to hit the weight room. Now, because of his size and he was still growing into his body, I didn't want him to lift heavy weights, but I knew he needed to be stronger. And it's not as much as the upper body. It's really more of the lower body. Your lower body is the biggest muscle in your body, and it's the most important because you're running, you're jumping, you're lunging, it's quickness and agility. And so as long as you have a strong lower body and maintain a solid upper body, but really focus more on the lower body, and that's what I was telling him, you can be the athlete you want to be. And so I would stress that to him in his early days. I would also, stress to him about work ethic. You are as good as you practice. LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, they don't practice for 4 days. They don't practice for 4 hours a day and not become anything. They are the players they are because they practice so much. And so I always tell kids, and like I told him, I said, hey, man, if you can't even work on your game an hour a day, and Michael Jordan and LeBron James are working on their game for 4 hours a day, then how do you expect to be at that level? Now, my thing is this. Not everyone has to be at that level. What I mean by that, not everyone has to be at that level, is I think sports is a great tool for just learning about work ethic. So let's say you're just on your high school basketball team. Well, waking up early for practice or having to be at practice from 5 to 7 every day, and you have to work hard. Well, you know what? That's right there. That's teaching you discipline. The second thing is you work with other people. So when you work with other people in your businesses, you're going to have to work with other people. So it's helping you being a better social skills and social person. And the second thing is your coach is like a boss. So if you can respond to your coach, you can respond to your boss. If you can make your coach happy, you can make your boss happy. And it kind of just teaches you just future life lessons of what a future adult is going to experience in life. Jeremy's strengths growing up were he was an amazing passer. He was a point guard, just a natural point guard. And he's always, even today, I think he's an underrated athlete. Like people think, oh, he's, just a great, intelligent player. No. Jeremy is an athlete. I mean, he is quick, he is fast, he's strong, so don't get it twisted. He is an athlete. He's one of the fastest guys I train. And then one of his weaknesses, I really don't know, like, he didn't really have a lot of weaknesses. I would just say probably he might have got too hard on himself. He's super, I mean, when I talk about the most competitive guy you'll ever meet in your life who never wants to lose, and that's why probably this season was so hard for him because he was losing a lot. But, it's just not to be so hard on himself. I think the earlier the better. So, I personally, and I think everyone, you join your YMCA league around 5 years old, and that's great. But I don't have any kids right now, but when I do have kids, once they're old enough to dribble a ball, they're going to just start dribbling a ball. But this is the one thing I will never do, though, is force my kid to do something he doesn't want to do. Now, it's going to be in my household. I'm just talking about my household. It's mandatory to play a sport. You have to play a sport because I just think it teaches you so much about life and social skills and about, hey, if you work hard, good things will happen to you. But if my kids don't want to play basketball, I won't force them, but I'll definitely guide them to be little basketball players. But I'd say probably around 5 years old, ideal. And organized basketball, really important. In my opinion, I don't think there's really much of a difference between girls and boys training because at an early age, there's a lot of girls that actually are better than boys. I would say, teach them really the same. When I train a girl, I train the same way I train a man. There's no difference. If it's a little kid, really, it all depends on the skill level, how skillful that person is. So if that person has a lot of skill, then I can amp it up. I don't care if he's a 4-year-old. But if I'm working with a 16-year-old who can't dribble with his left hand, and maybe his skill level is like a 6th grader, then I'm going to have to do something like a middle school workout for that high school person. So it all depends on your skill level. I'll never give a client a drill that person has no idea how to do. Now, I might introduce it to him so he can work on it or she can work on it, but I will not have him do something for a long period of time. I would say, again, like if you guys are talking about like personal training, paying for lessons, again, I think it depends on the kid's skill. And also it depends on, what you like out of it. I've told people, I've said, hey, look, your son's a good 8-year-old, but at the same time, I don't want to take the kid's money because I feel like he can go somewhere else and, get better. But at the same time, they have insisted to work out with me because they feel that I can, bring their son to another level, which I have no problem with. But I always tell people that, if you have a 5-year-old and he's a really beginner, I don't think he really needs a trainer. He just needs to be playing and having fun and develop the skill and love for the game. But once he gets a little advanced or he's trying to get a little better, then I would advise to get a trainer. I would say first, he needs to learn how to pass properly with his right hand and left hand. Like a chest pass, right hand push pass, bounce pass, wraparound pass. And then, to get in triple threat, to learn how to pivot so he's not traveling, learning the rules of the game. Learning how to dribble with his left hand as equally he can dribble with his right hand. Also, too, just good form when shooting. Don't have him be attached to makes or misses, but be very happy when his when he's shooting with good form. Let's see. And then the next thing is just, again, I can't stress having fun. Like, and I guess I think I'm talking the majority of parents. When you're working and you're having fun, you're going to do a better job because you love it. But if you're doing something and you're not having fun, then you're really not going to be the. Absolutely, it's really important to, work on your, to practice with older kids. They're going to push you. They're going to, make you stronger. And really, you're going to do moves like, let's say if a kid is a good 8-year-old. Well, if he can go by an 8-year-old easily, just blowing by with the right hand, that's great. But if he's going against a 10-year-old, then he's going to have to learn the change of direction dribble, which is awesome. Meaning if he gets cut off when he drives to the right, then he's going to have a counter move, a crossover, behind the back, spin move, something. And that's what he needs to have. And so when you play with older kids or older people, or even like when I play with Jeremy, he's much better than me. And I still work on my game. And I love to play with him because it makes me go, okay, I got to practice that much more, because that's how the NBA players are and that's how good they are. And, and so whenever he kicks I work on my game and try to become better. I think, I wouldn't wear just regular tennis shoes. I would definitely buy basketball shoes. For a kid through 7 and 10, personally, he doesn't have to have the Kevin Durant's or anything. Just buy just a nice, comfortable, regular basketball shoe. The only thing about sometimes not having, you don't have to have the top of the line, but let's say if you go buy your son a cheap pair of shoe, first of all, it could be bad for his foot. So you want to get a quality shoe. But the second thing is you don't want the kid to get made fun of. And I don't think the kid will get made fun of. But, it's like on my AAU team, everyone's got all these nice shoes. And, when I was growing up, I didn't have those nice shoes. But at the same time, I was the best player, so probably no one really cared about my shoes. But today, people are so into fashion. I would just give them a nice, comfortable, Nike, Adidas shoe. But I wouldn't go cheap, not at all. I would say a good time for a kid to have a private coach is a few things. So I've noticed there are some parents that don't have time to just help their kids out, and their kid might not be motivated to play by himself. And just like how as adults we need sometimes a trainer to motivate us, to kind of get us going, to start getting back in shape. And just like a kid, he needs the same type of motivation / inspiration. And so that's when parents will call me. There's really no age range. My thing is, that's tough. Sorry. I would say is whenever the kid really wants it, if you see the kid really wants to get better, it doesn't really matter what ability is. If he just has that will and hey, I want to, do it, then I'd say any age. But personally, I would say the better the kid is, I would say if he's a high level kid or wants to be the best he can be, then I would get him a trainer. With the age, that's tough, man. I've trained, 6-year-olds, and I've also trained, people in their 60s. So who just want a good workout with basketball. So, it's really, it's tough to say. I don't think there's an exact thing, but I would say though, don't waste your money trying to force your kid to do something he doesn't want to do. But if he has that will and desire to get better, then yeah, give him a personal trainer. Personally, I would say to do both. I would say, to play in the Asian League and to play with other kids that are non-Asians. Why I think is that because, especially with kids and just like people growing up, it's like if you don't hang out with other races, you're not comfortable around them. But if you hang out with other races, you're comfortable around them and you don't fear them. And so, and then you'll be shocked to say wow, I'm not only I think that person was better than me, but no, I'm actually faster than that person, or, this and that. And so I would say, to do both, if you can do both. If you have to choose, I don't know. I can't really say to choose one or the other, because I think it really probably depends on the coach and how you personally and how the kid responds and likes that certain coach. Jeremy was 5'3", 5'4" as a freshman. He got moved up to varsity, and he was so small out there. And when I watched this game, and it was like a serious, like it was after, they won this big championship, and then it was NorCal's. And when he was bringing up the ball, I was so impressed that he never got the ball stolen from him. 5'3", maybe 125, and bringing up the ball. And then when I saw him hit 2 to 3 3-pointers, I said, holy moly, this kid is going to be a great player. Did I think he was going to be in the NBA? Not at all. Not as a ninth grader. No way. As a junior in college, yes, I knew he was going to be in the NBA. As a ninth grader in high school, no way did I think he was going to be in the NBA. But to answer your question, size don't matter. It's all about heart and it's all about skill. And again, luckily Jeremy, I remember this, he was like 5'3", 5'4" as a freshman. And his sophomore year, he was a little shorter than me because I'm 6 foot. And then his junior year, he sprouted up, started dunking, saw him dunk with 2 hands. I said, whoa. And then senior year, he wins the state championship. And he's about 6'2", 6'2 and a half, and now he's about 6'3". So, he luckily got a growth spurt, but even if he didn't get a growth spurt, I think he still would have been a great player because you can't name, for Palo Alto High School, that's a great basketball factory, great basketball high school. And for him to be a freshman, to get moved up, he wasn't on varsity the whole year, but for the playoffs, he was on varsity. And not only to get moved up, but to get playing time and to play well, you have to be a talented player. And Jeremy has been good for a long time. It's not like this happened overnight. That's a tough question. I would say it just depends on the kid's work ethic. I mean, I'm 34 years old. And so when I was growing up, there were a few, good athletes in Palo Alto, mind you, like going places and doing things. And now it seems like more people are becoming pros. And I know Jeremy Lin is the only one that has made it pro in basketball in Palo Alto. But I coached another guy named Jock Peterson who played basketball, great basketball player, but now he's a professional baseball player for the LA Dodgers. Another kid that I coached, Devontae Adams from Palo Alto, he actually now plays football for the Green Bay Packers. And so these guys, actually played a lot of sports, because Jeremy also was a great soccer player. A lot of people don't know. I mean, an amazing soccer player, but quit, in the high school because basketball and soccer are in the same season. But what soccer did for Jeremy was improve his footwork. And so, that really helped him out a lot. But it's really up to the player and him dedicating his life to this. People don't understand that to be a professional athlete, you have to work on your game every single day. And I know I'm talking to a lot of successful adults here, and you can't tell me if you're a business owner or you're a doctor, a lawyer, you own some .com thing, that you didn't sacrifice and really work hard. And how you worked hard in business, your kids have to work hard in sports. Your kids get great grades because they dedicate their life to studying, and they got to dedicate their life to sports too. And if Jeremy can do it, I'm telling you right now, anybody can do it. But the kid's work ethic was, his discipline to work hard from age, I'd say 9 to 10, was impeccable. And his parenting was awesome. Oh, sorry, just to add to that too, I remember I used to work at the YMCA, and Jeremy and his little brothers and his dad used to always go. And one thing I did notice was the dad was always there, playing with the kids. And he didn't know a lot about basketball, but he did absolutely just give them the love of basketball and just had fun with them. And just by him having fun with them, the kids got good. He wasn't, teaching them all this advanced stuff. Yeah, I think positioning is really skill level and size. When I worked out this guy, Josh Hustis, who is in the NBA right now, but played at Stanford, they told me, they're like, all right, he's 6'7". He's played, center all of his life in Montana. And so can you make him into, more of a 3, to make sure he dribbles and shoots more. And so, I would say it's really all depends on the kid or the person's skill level. Like, it's all about his skill level. What I would say, though, if you have a taller, big kid, who cares if you play center or forward? You have to make sure that he learns guard skills. You know what I'm saying? That he knows how to dribble because a lot of people, a lot of coaches, when they see a big kid, they just go, all right, go down low, but they're not teaching him how to play guard or anything like that. And so personally, what I do is I try to have the kids learn all the positions. Even the small kids learn how to post up like a center. because you should just know everything about basketball instead of just be a one-dimensional player, be a well-rounded player. Yeah, that's a tough concept. And, I always say, sometimes if the kids are just running and shooting the ball, I'll say, all right, you have to pass the ball 5 to 3 times or, minimum of 5 passes before a shot. And then I always tell the kids, hot potato, meaning don't hold on to the ball. Pass it, quick passes, and you're either driving, attacking to the basket, or you're passing the ball. But my thing is, ball movement and quick ball movement, because it's kind of like, I'm not a fighter, but if you watch boxing matches, if you just go for a knockout punch, you're probably going to lose and you're going to get tired. But if you hit the guy in the body, then you go for the knockout. It's easier to hit him in the face. What I mean by hitting him in the body is, in basketball terms, if I pass the ball around, that's like hitting him in the body. I'm getting the defense tired. So then, then 10 seconds, 15 seconds in, they get lazy, and then it's easier for me to go by the opponent. Yes, it's easier for me to go by the opponent, and then like it doesn't get us tired, because you get really tired playing defense. You don't get as tired playing offense. Defense is one of my strong suits, and, me being a 2-time defensive player of the year at Palo Alto High School. No, I'm joking around. But actually I was, but I'm joking around, seriously. But anyway, though, defense is key. I'm a defensive coach. I believe like defense, it's all about heart. You don't have to be the fastest, quickest, strongest, but you have to have a will and a want to not let your opponent score on you. And so, hey, once they start playing basketball, you got to teach them how to slide, the right foot position. And it's hard to explain on the phone, but I have a great drill just to teach kids the basics of defense. So, yeah, defense is key. And right when they start playing, like right when they get into the YMCA Little League, about 5 years old, 6 years old, they got to start just getting the concept in their head. They might not know it. That's fine. But it's all about getting it in their head so eventually they'll understand and know it. Definitely you can't, teach sometimes speed and quickness and just hops, but you can improve on it. And I've seen a lot of kids who weren't athletic, at a young age, between 6 to 10, with plyometrics first and core work, become great athletes in high school. And it's all about hard work. I mean, personally, I was always a really fast guy, like really quick and fast, but I wasn't jumping really high. And once I started doing squats, some deadlifts, and the Olympic lifts, and just working on my legs, like running hills, running stadium stairs, and doing jump rope, I really improved my jumping ability. One thing I remember Jeremy Lin in high school used to always do is a thing called air alert, and that helped him with his hops and his quickness ability. It's called air alert, but obviously he does other stuff today. Oh, and I must add to this question 13. Stretch, 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 stretch. So you must take care of your body. You got to stretch before, you got to stretch after. That's how I hurt my back, and that's why I stress it, because I don't want anyone to go through what I went through, because it was really a tough time in my life. And having any type of injury is the worst thing an athlete can have. It just sucks. That's a good question. Personally, I would say probably high school, but, in middle school, you can do non-weight stuff, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, dips, calf races, jump rope, running hills, all that stuff I really recommend. And then when you get into weights, you're a basketball player. So go light weights until you start getting, about 16, start then, getting stronger and start pushing your weights, but you're still growing. I.e. Jeremy, you know what I mean? He was 6'3" in college. He graduated like 6'1", 6'1.5". So, you don't want to stunt your growth plates and stunt your growth. So, I say definitely you can get really big and not big, but you can get very strong by doing low weight but high reps. One thing I do with my kids is video analysis. So, not all the time, but, when I train kids, I like to get them on video and to show him, like, if I say, hey, your elbow's not tucked in, and he feels like his elbow's tucked in, then when he sees it on film, he goes, whoa, my elbow's not tucked in. So the film don't lie, and I love film analysis. So to help kids, read and react to defense, you kind of, just teach them on film, like, hey, you should have done this. And then when they do something positive, you really stress the positive. With my high school team, I read this thing about, hey, you know what, teams responded better by just hearing positive comments instead of negative comments. So literally when something happened negatively, I didn't even say it. Because at least in high school, I think they're smart enough to know, okay, that was a wrong play. But whenever they did something positive, I went nuts. And I said, that's what I want you to do, and that's what you got to do. I think mental toughness is just being, fair and honest. And what I mean by that is if a kid starts complaining, especially a little kid, you don't give them a scapegoat. If he whines, you don't give him a treat. You would just say, hey, you got to toughen up, man up or man out. And, the read and react to defense is just more of, I always say, kids, keep it simple. You drive hard left, drive hard right. Once that person cuts you off, then that's when you cross over, do the legs, spin move. That's when you do the stuff to change direction. So my main thing is, to keep it simple and to keep it fundamentally sound. I think every team is different. Again, when I trained those guys, Devontae and Jock Peterson, Devontae Adams, Jock Peterson, when they were in middle school, and let's say sixth grade, or when I was coaching their teams, they got my high school offense like that. I mean, very quick. Their basketball IQs were high. I'm coaching today the same sixth grade team, or not the same sixth grade team, but another group of sixth graders, and they can't do it. I mean, they're not even close to doing it. And so I think it all depends on the basketball IQ of not only the kid, but really the whole team. Because you can have two really smart kids, but if you have 8 other kids that don't kind of get it, then it's tough. So right now with my kids, we just do pass and cut, and we keep it simple. And you either have to pass. When you pass, you have to cut or screen, and you have to keep moving. And I give them 5 spots to always be in. And with the defensive strategies, I've done this camp. I've done a camp, and we teach, 6th graders help defense. We teach the kid, he'll come to 7th grade. We teach him the same thing. We teach him in 8th grade. We teach him in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and he still doesn't get it by 12th grade. And you know what? It's just a tough thing because these NBA guys are the same thing. They mess up on their defensive assignments all the time. So you can learn something, but that doesn't mean you're going to get it, because when you play basketball, you're tired, you get lazy, and then you're thinking about other things. It's hard to always remember to be in that spot. So it takes a person with a lot of mental fortitude to do that. Personally, I do both. I do fundamentals, and I do a lot of skill development. I don't think, one is better than the other, but I will say this, and this is, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, that generation, they were more fundamentally sound. They were better shooters than the guys today. And in my opinion, you can go through the legs and you can do all this fancy dribbling and stuff, but you still got to make the shot. And so my thing is, please keep, focusing on fundamentals and focusing on skill development. But I think there's too much sometimes on all these fancy moves when they're unnecessary, and you can keep it simple. The first thing, it all depends on, what type of team it is. So, it's a ball hog is tough. Like, it's one thing if, like, there's other kids that can't score and this one kid is the only scorer, or is a kid just taking bad shots. I don't think a guy is a ball hog if he's taking good shots and he has a good shooting percentage. I think a ball hog is a guy who takes ill-advised shots, horrible shots, and only cares about him. Those are two different things. So personally, I had a kid who cared about himself, and so I sat him on the bench. And, and I said, if you want to play, you got to play the right way. And the bench is the best teacher. You could tell the kid all this stuff, but when it's game time and he doesn't play, oh man, he's going to be like, all right, coach, what do I need to do? Or he's going to go to another team. And so, and definitely if he doesn't change, you just don't play him until he changes. And if he doesn't want to change, then hey, whatever. And then if it becomes a disturbance to the team, disrupts the team, then you're going to have to ask him to leave the team, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a fine line between a ball hog and a kid who scores all the time. And I would just look at the kid's shot selection, his shooting percentage, and if he and if he could pass the ball sometimes, like to a person who's open. But maybe if he passes the ball to that kid who's never going to make the shot, but he makes most of the points, it's kind of like you got to kind of let him shoot the ball sometimes. But again, it's tough and it's a fine line, and that's a tough part of coaching. Yeah, that's a tough one. Then I would talk to the kid and I would just, bench him and take away his minutes. And, if he just plays, in a 32-minute game, if he just plays 5 minutes or no minutes, like literally there's a kid on my high school team that I didn't play the whole game. He was literally one of the best players on the team. And so, but when I did that, man, he got it and ran through a wall for me. So you can't just kind of, bench him a little bit. You really got to just not play him. And I think the best too is to talk to his parents about it first, so they could be all in agreement with it, so that you're trying to get the kid better, for his future. If other kids can score him well, then I would say, the coach should have him, be passing the ball because, he might not always be a scorer. He might be a point guard in his later life. But, two, you just have to be an all-around player. You just can't score the ball. So I would, if it was me, I would say try to get everyone involved. And really, though, my thing is try to have everyone touch the ball. If everyone touches the ball, then don't have to shoot the ball all the time. But as long as you feel involved in the game, then that's great. Yes, I do coach an AAU team, and it's called Kopa Hoops, or it's called Kopa Basketball, actually. And yes, I coach 2 6th grade teams and a high school team right now. Hi. You know what? With the extended daycare, we can definitely offer that. It will only depend. It will depend on the, how many people really will like it. Usually not people do that, and they just do the full camp day. My camp is from 2nd grade to 10th grade, and the 2nd graders aren't going to be in the same group as obviously a 10th grader. But let's say if a 2nd grader is a high-level 2nd grader and can play with 3rd and 4th graders, or, vice versa. Everything is with the skill level. And the doors open at 8:30, and it ends, and the doors open at 8:30. Camp starts at 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Friday, July 13th to July 17th at Gunn High School. I think the address is 780 Arastadero, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. But Gunn High School, Google. At the camp, we will learn proper footwork, how to use a proper footwork. We teach, single pivot right now. We'll let you double pivot, but we want you to know the fundamental way to pivot, just in case you have a coach that only teaches single pivots, single leg pivots. And we do a lot of defense. We do a lot of games. Last year we did film analysis, meaning we videotaped games, and then we brought the kids in the locker room to see what they were doing right or wrong. And with their shots too, we showed them, what they were doing right or wrong. So, and then, lunch is provided and brunch is provided. Brunch, you'll get, a Chewy bar and a Capri Sun just as a little snack. And then lunch, we'll have pizza. We'll have, we had tacos. We had Chipotle. We had, we had Subway sandwiches one day. And then sometimes we'll, usually we change it up every day, but the camp last year, the kids loved the barbecue, and so we did barbecue for 2 days, but normally we would do barbecue just for one day. Oh, yeah, and the coaches are great coaches. It's all mixed up. Some of the coaches will be younger gentlemen like college basketball players. Some are older guys like myself who have been coaching for years, and then some are just volunteers who will just be helping out, having the camp run smoothly. In that area, I don't really know that area and what's good or what's bad, and I couldn't even tell you other good basketball camps, to be honest with you. Yeah, sorry about that. The kids will be separated, and they won't be doing it depending on the skill level. It depends on the activities, but we pretty much do the same thing. So let's just say if I have a kid that say, all right, we're going to be doing in and out moves, and the kid can't do in and out moves, then I'll say, all right, just work on your hesitation, which means you can do a slow go. It means you slow up and then you speed up and go. And so I make it, and then there's older kids will be on some end that'll be doing more advanced moves. So kids will be divided into their skills, their skill level, and their age. But first, you always divide people kind of by their age and height, and then as you see them working out, you can adjust to tell them, all right, you should be playing with these kids or those kids. So. Hey, yes, I definitely am still in contact with Jeremy. And to be honest with you, he's so busy, you know what I mean? If he had time, he definitely would. But with his busy schedule, he doesn't really have like a lot of time. But, that's why I never promise people that he's going to come or this and that. And it's tough because I feel bad for him. Everyone asks him for a favor, and no one asks him how he's doing. And I think why our relationship has grown over the years and why he's always kept me in his inner circle is because I've never asked him things just for my benefit. I've always just looked out for him and helped him out and just worried about him. And it was really sad, when the Linsanity thing was going on because, he came back home and, he thought everyone would be, like, hey, great job, which everyone was, they were saying, hey, great job. But everyone else, too, was saying, like, hey, great job, but can you help me do this? Hey, great job, Jeremy. Awesome. But, Jeremy, can I get some tickets? Or they always just wanted something from him. And so I never wanted to be a person to be another person and say, oh, Jeremy, can you do this? And so, yeah, I try to stay away from that. I think, a lot of people forget, just to add on to this, is that, Jeremy was a small, quiet guy from Palo Alto. He wasn't the most popular guy. He wasn't the best athlete. Nobody was talking to him. Nobody said hi to him. He wins a state championship. No one knows him still. He's not getting college scholarships. He goes to Harvard. And no one knows him. He doesn't get drafted. And then when he goes to Vegas, and I flew out to Vegas for those 5 days to watch him, and no one knew him. But after when he busted John Wall up in Vegas, then everybody knew him, and everybody wants to be his friend. And so why he keeps me around and why he likes me is like, it's not about who's around when I'm successful. It's about who was around and who was great to me when I was a normal person. Hey, Amy, thanks a lot, for the compliment and everything. It's weird. I've never really had like a favorite team. Right now the Warriors are playing great. I live in the Bay Area, so I root for them because I just like, when the Giants win, that energy, and, the Warriors winning, that energy is really cool. Players, I like a lot of players. Obviously, I love Jeremy Lin. Come on now, I love everything about him. Another guy who I really love watching is LeBron James. I think this guy is amazing. He is one of a kind, and he's really fun to watch. Kyrie Irving, I just kind of started watching him, and his handle is ridiculous. This is kind of a guy back in the day, but Steve Francis was one of my favorite players to watch. I really enjoyed him. And then obviously Michael Jordan, I really, really loved watching, Michael Jordan. Magic Johnson, I cried when he said he had AIDS. I'm a big fan of him. Larry Bird. But yeah, I've always been more of a player guy. than a team guy. But for some reason, I've always liked the Lakers and Knicks for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe because they're just the two biggest teams other than Boston too. But I like the Lakers and Knicks. I don't know why. For kids to protect their ankles, I would say to, walk on your toes, to stretch your Achilles muscle, calf muscles, and do calf raises, as much as you can to strengthen your ankles. But unfortunately, playing basketball, you're going to have ankle injuries. That just happens, and you're going to get injuries. And that's why I'm a big, I'm a big believer in stretching, because stretching prevents a lot of knick-knack injuries like ankle sprains and stuff. And also stretching your ankle out, moving your feet to side. And then there's balls like stability balls that work well too. Yes, right now the summer season is tough for the clinics. And so for the clinics, we will have, they're usually at 4:30 on Sunday, but this Sunday we're going to have to change the time to 6 o'clock because I have to coach other games on Sunday. So the clinic will be 6 o'clock this Sunday. And 6 o'clock. And pretty much the regular clinic will be just like the trial clinic. So what you'll see at the trial clinic will be just like the regular clinic. Now, if you're talking about the camp is just pretty much an extension of the clinic. It's just instead of for an hour and a half, it's for 6 hours. And to sign up, you could just sign up at the door. You could just, right now it's a free trial, but if you are interested, then, you just, pay by check or cash at the door. Or actually, you pay me check or cash just when you see me. That'll be totally fine. That's a good question. To think of someone right now, there were a few coaches. He's an old school coach named Lenny Wilkins. He led the Seattle Supersonics to a championship maybe in like the early 80s. Al Attles and led the Golden State Warriors to a championship in I think the early 70s, and I actually got to meet him when I was younger, so I thought that was always cool and I always looked up to him. And then I think, Greg Popovich is amazing. I mean, awesome. Pat Riley, awesome. Phil Jackson, amazing. Doc Rivers, I think he's a great coach. So there's a lot of coaches that I look up to and inspire to be hopefully one day. For a 10-year-old kid, that depends really on his love for the game at the end of the day. If it doesn't feel like work and he's having fun, let him go all day. If he's complaining and he doesn't want to be there, then, you can say, okay, stop it. But I'm just going to say for my kids, they're going to have to play a sport and they're going to have to get through it. I mean, no one wants to work a 9 to 5. No one wants to do things, but when you're an adult, you have to do things to survive. So I think that sometimes, like kids don't want to go to school, but they got to go to school because you have to learn how to read. So there's sometimes you got to kind of force your hand, but at the same time, when that extra stuff, they have to want to do the extra stuff, So I wouldn't, be too hard on them, but be stern on them, and you got to keep it fun. And I always recommend that the parents, like one thing, and I'll talk about just with my upbringing situation is, my mom worked 2-3 jobs. She didn't really have time to help me with basketball. But when I would come home and have a bad game, she would be upset. And I have no problem with a parent, being like, oh, man, you got to play better. But that parent needs to rebound for the kid for an hour a day at least. Be a part of the kid's life. Don't just, critique the kid, but not help the kid. And so I say, you could push your kid to be the best, but rebound for the kid and play with him to make him the best. I think both of those coaches are great coaches. Personally, I'm lucky to train Johnny Dawkins' son, Aubrey Dawkins. And so I got to meet and talk to Coach Dawkins, who's the head coach of Stanford University, and he is the reason why Duke basketball is what it is today. He actually saved Coach K from being fired, and he was Coach K's first McDonald's big-time All-American recruit, and he really saved the program. So if there's one coach, and I can't believe I forgot this coach. This is actually, what am I thinking? The biggest coach in my life that's, really helped me out and has given me a ton of knowledge and guidance. And I've learned a lot just by him, just watching him and listening to him and his stories. And he's an incredible man, and that's somebody who I really look up to and would love to be like one day. And not only is he a great man, Coach Dawkins, but he's a great father, and his family is something like that's something I want for my future, is to have a family, because his family is like the Huxtables. So it's really cool. And yeah, and his son goes to Michigan. He has 2 daughters at Duke. One just graduated, and he has a son that goes to the University of San Diego. And that right there, he made the NBA. He's in the College Hall of Fame. He's the head coach of Stanford, and to have 4 kids that are going to get college degrees, I mean, that says a lot. You know what, guys? I just want to say thank you very much, for listening to me and talking to me, and I extremely appreciate all of this. And you guys have no idea how thankful I am. I thank you guys again. I would say, again, my philosophy in coming to my camps and clinics is, we put the fun in fundamentals. Your kid is going to get a great, excellent, hard workout, and he's just going to learn not only about being a good basketball player, but being a good human being, because I feel like my job is to not only raise good basketball players, but to raise good humans and good pillars of society.